Social media is something that is seen in a lot of my artwork. I'm really interested in how it has taken over our world, and it's so relevant. The subject ties into some of my other interests, such as pop culture, and I've had myself incorporating the two of those topics somehow into most of my work. I found that I had to put a photo of OCAD in my presentation, as I touched on graduating being one of my goals within the next year. I've grown a lot as an artist here. I don't think I would be where I am if it wasn't for OCAD. This is my photograph of Novosibirsk, Russia. I value my culture and my town very much. I recently visited here this past summer, and since then I've taken a big interest in politics and stuff like that. I found that it was a very eye-opening experience. Humor is something I've always used in my artwork. I think it's a good representation of who I was personally. I still will continue making humorous artwork like my video skits, but lately I've put that on pause and I want to try something more serious and experiment with other stuff. This is one of my collages. I focused on representing a time in my life where I found myself getting caught up in a very synthetic lifestyle. The flowers represent beauty, and I have a lot of unnatural synthetic items. Tying into social media, I wanted to show how we get fake and real mixed up. This is another collage from a series I did last year. It's based on my experiences and what I was feeling at the moment. Again, this collage is heavily based around social media, like texting, Facebook, and I find that it's also a timestamp in terms of pop culture references. This is a picture of the White House to represent my newfound interest in politics, not specifically American politics, but during my trip to Russia this past summer, I found myself extremely curious about government and how the politics are run. This is Nam Junpek's TV garden. I chose this picture to represent my future goals of working with installations. I have a lot to learn, but I found myself coming up with a lot of installation ideas. So I hope to add an installation section to my professional website someday. Nam Junpek is actually one of my favorite artists. Because he's the first artist that made me extremely interested in starting to make installations, whereas before I never really looked into that much. I have always really enjoyed surrealism. I'm drawn to the dreamlike appearance of this style, and Salvador Dali was my first favorite artist in high school that made me want to keep pursuing art. Over the years, I learned that I much more enjoy Dadaism as opposed to surrealism because it makes you stop and think and question everything and anything. I think it represents a very good part of our world history, and I've definitely been influenced by works such as Fountain and the mockery of that work. Drawing and painting is something I have turned into my hobby. I unfortunately don't draw and paint very frequently anymore. However, I want to set aside time to do it again. I had to include a photo of Toronto. I feel very lucky to be living here and think that the art scene is booming and really great. Learning about all the different galleries had made me appreciate the city a lot more. Pop culture is something that has been seen throughout most of my work. I can't help but to comment on my opinions through art pieces, mainly humorous ones like making jokes on celebrities or current trends such as my J'adore Brampton video. I find myself to be very low maintenance, almost minimalist sort of person, but I notice my artwork tends to be very busy. For some reason, I think growing up, it was pushed in our heads that the busier something is or how detailed it is, that it's better, but I've learned that's not the case. I would love to experiment with a more minimal style of art. I draw inspiration from people that I meet or am friends with. I really enjoy psychology and learning how the mind works and different traits of different people. And because of this, I enjoy getting to know people on a personal level and often make art pieces about them. The biggest inspiration of all would be traveling. I realized how many new ideas and interests you pick up when you're traveling to a new place. It could be trying something you've never done before, going somewhere new, but any new experience is a pretty good inspiration.